Welcome to Weekly Homilies with Father Mark Seslenko, pastor of Saints Isidore and Maria Parish in Glastonbury, Connecticut, part of the Catholic Archdiocese of Hartford. I'm Carol Vassar, Parish Director of Communications, and this is Season 4, Episode 5, for the Solemnity of the Epiphany of the Lord, January 3rd, 2021. Our Gospel reading is from Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising, and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, And you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out. And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
I'm sure that all of us can share at least one story when we've had to go into a darkened room in order to find something. Maybe there's a bill on the desk in that room that we need to pay. And so the goal and the task is to find that bill so that it can be attended to. And as we go into the darkened room, we may stumble on something that was on the floor. We may be fumbling around the desk trying to find this bill that we need. And all the while, not even cognizant of the fact that there's a switch on the wall that could turn on a light to make this whole journey much easier. Why don't we turn on the switch? Could it be because of stubbornness, reluctance, determination, an overly acute sense of zeal? Whatever the reason, we often don't turn on that switch, and we attempt to go about our business dimly lit. The world lived in darkness. And today's Feast of the Epiphany celebrates God's light shed upon humanity. It was the celebration of joy as God blessed humanity with the divine presence in Jesus Christ. It was an event of simplicity, but one that was also quite profound, because it shows and demonstrates God's tender relationship with the people he fashioned and made, a tender relationship that is born out of love. And into the darkened world, a light has shone. And when we begin to see the radiance that comes from that light and what is revealed in this manifestation of God's presence, at its core is the innocence of humanity. That when God created us, he did so giving us an innocent spirit of wonder and awe and beauty. Why is it we've had such a hard time turning on that switch. So often we prefer to live in darkness, fumble our way through, stumble on things, get frustrated and angry because we can't quite find our way or discover that joy that we want to experience. The cares and the concerns of our world and the one crisis after another begins to put a veil over that innocence that God has placed within our soul. It begins to rob us of the beauty and the glory of God's creation. For that light that has shone and revealed God's presence tells us wonderful stories about who God is, illumines our understanding of ourselves, and even more importantly, directs our path to one another and to the world in which we live, so that all people from all corners of the earth can now receive this glorious good news of peace and salvation and joy. It's a wonderful image to behold and one to cling to and keep near and dear to our hearts. And it's amazing as you look at the history of our faith, what happens in the life of a person who not only flips on that switch that gives the light of God, but then also finds the courage to act on it. I had an opportunity this past week to read and reflect again on some of the events and stories of St. Francis of Assisi. I also had an opportunity to reflect and read again about some of the experiences of St. Teresa of Calcutta. Two among many examples of folks who not only flipped that switch of illumination of faith, but then found the courage to go out and act upon it. And it occurred to me as I listened and reflected again, they didn't do so standing on a soapbox. They didn't do so judging the behaviors and actions of others. They didn't do so attempting to set right the wrongs that were in place. They didn't do so trying to fix systemic problems. Now, while all of those are so incredibly important for us realizing God's vision for the world, what's equally important is doing it. And that is only accomplished through the courageous willingness of folks who have clung to this faith to love. And that's all that those very simple folks did. They left what they knew was pulling them away from joy and ventured forth into a life of love and service. St. Francis found himself tending to the needs of the very lepers that once despised him. St. Teresa of Calcutta could go into the streets and tend to the needs of people who were most hurting. When a person is transformed and the light of faith reveals the innocence of their hearts, restores the joy that was intended from the beginning, if it's authentic and it's true and it's real, then it can only be shared and overflow and affect the lives of others. And isn't that what the Feast of the Epiphany is all about? That each one of us in our own way and form, flipping on that light of faith, allowing God's presence to illuminate the path of our lives, showing us who God is, who we are, how we're meant to live with each other, and how to respect and care for the creation He has bestowed upon us. That when that happens, and we venture forth with love, the transformation of other lives can occur, and that joy can be shared. The light has come into the world. It's our choice whether we will turn it on or find some reason not to.
Father Mark Sislenko is the pastor of Saints Isidore and Maria Parish in Glastonbury, Connecticut. Learn more about our parish community at isidoreandmaria.org and follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Our music comes free of charge from Blue Dot Sessions in Fall River, Massachusetts. I'm Carol Vassar. Thanks for listening.